So as a Toastmaster, we don't ever turn down an opportunity to talk. And what I found is that sometimes we say things that are quite interesting and useful, and people will say, wow, that was cool. Especially when Lyndon speaks. We say that a lot. So if you'd like to know how to pick up a speech topic, phantasmagorical, you all have a piece of paper and also a pen. Who doesn't have a pen? All right, there's always one. There you go. Thank you. Have a piece of paper, Jeffrey? I know. He doesn't have a pen, he has a pencil. A graphite stick or a piece of charcoal. Correct. There you go. Anything else? Anybody else? Good. Right, now. Now I'm going to ask a question. Why do we speak when there are books in the world? Don't answer if you know the question. Maybe if you know the answer. Why do we speak? So, I'll put it another way. Speaking, if you think about it, is a medium, right? Television is also a medium, so called because it is neither rare nor well done. That was a joke. You can laugh at the joke. Why do we speak? What does the medium of speaking do or give us that the medium of television or radio or books does not?
The ability to tell our message to an audience that's going to react to it directly.
Okay, so what you're saying is an element of audience interaction, isn't it? Good, thank you, yes?
I think it's so we can hear. One of our senses is our ability to talk, to speak, and I think it's to hear. They say children learn better from hearing, and that's why they learn languages so quickly, because they hear it.
Okay, so there's hearing. I mean, radio can give us hearing as well. Good, but hearing, yes, good.
But hearing and how to pronounce certain words.
Lovely, good, thank you. What does the medium of speaking do that other media don't do? What is it that it gives us? What is its unique advantage over other media?
To who?
Wait, Vaughan. Go, Vaughan.
You get feedback.
You get feedback, thank you. It's a bit like Lyndon's point, Esther.
It's directly expressive.
It's directly expressive, good, Lyndon.
The question, to who? To the audience or to you as a speaker?
Aha! So I have a point. I have an opinion. Tell me if you think you agree. I think that speakers can inspire audiences quicker, faster, more effectively than books or pamphlets or radio or newspapers or television or films or operas or pop songs. So of all the media, including the Saturn Chronicle, of all the media, I think that speaking can inspire us more effectively, more quickly than any other medium. Who agrees? Vaughan does not agree. There's always one. Tell me about that, Vaughan.
I think that if you put a good documentary together,
absolutely,
you can probably inspire.
Oh, no, not probably. There's no question. A good documentary is a thing of wonder.
Documentary.
Absolutely. There's the Americana documentary out at the moment. How long are these documentaries normally?
They can be any number of
hour and a half.
Sometimes you only need a few minutes.
Only need a few minutes. All right. A speaker can inspire somebody in 30 seconds, in a minute, in 5 to 7 minutes. Now, and documentaries can do that. It's a lot tougher for a documentary to inspire somebody in 5 to 7 minutes. But a speaker can do that. That's what they do.
People really concentrate well only for 30 seconds.
I didn't hear that one.
So people really concentrate well for 30 seconds. You can kind of turn around.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
You can wake them up at the ending.
Maybe you're right. Okay, so, except for Vaughan, an overwhelming majority of us think that speaking is a medium that is geared towards inspiration. Perhaps documentary filmmaking can do it as well, I'm not sure. But speaking is a medium geared to inspiration. Therefore, as speakers, what should we be trying to do? Anybody? Inspire our audience. Isn't that weird? And who would like to be a more inspirational human being? Isn't that amazing? So I'm going to give you the recipe for inspiration. Would you like that?
Yes.
Would you like that?
Yes.
All right. Would that help you? If I gave you the recipe for inspiration, would that help you?
Yes.
All right. I can't remember who first said it, but it was a past president of the Professional Speakers Association in America. And it goes like this. He said it a lot clearer than this.
But that pen's not very clear.
No, I know. That's why this is such a funny joke, JP. Where are my pens? They're right here. Right. That is the definition of, well, that's not the definition. This is the recipe for how to inspire people. Tell a story and then make a point. Who remembers Lyndon's last speech?
You missed my last speech.
I don't know, but I saw a speech of yours about magic mushrooms. Like an unforgettable speech. Well, for me anyway, I haven't forgotten it yet.
You tried it.
I have not. I'm not going to. I'm not going to, for lots of reasons. But the point is, Lyndon told us a personal story about taking drugs. And then he made a very powerful point. And it was personal experience. So he told a story, and then he made a point. Now, storytelling is slightly outside the ambit of this particular educational, but I will tell you this. What is a story? A story is characters plus conflict. And the way I always put it is, when I do the training, I say, I'm going to tell a story now. I might tell it slightly differently from how you've heard it before. Nevertheless, I want you to pay attention and tell me what you think. Once upon a time, there was a little girl, and her name was Little Red Riding Hood. So called because she was little, and she always wore a riding hood which had a red hood. So far, so good. Her mom one day said to her, "Go and deliver this basket of goodies to your grandmother in the forest. Don't dawdle." And Little Red Riding Hood, being a good little girl, went straight to her grandmother's, where they had a lovely lunch. The end. Good story, eh? What do you mean, no? It's a classic! Not! What's missing?
Conflict.
The conflict. What do I call the BBW? The Big Bad Wolf. Now, I always feel sorry for the woodcutter, who's actually the hero of the story, and nobody ever mentions the woodcutter. Nobody says, "Oh, I know what's missing. The woodcutter's missing." No, they all talk about the Big Bad Wolf. The woodcutter who came in and saved the day, nobody cares about him. It's all about the Big Bad Wolf. Interesting, eh? Nevertheless, a story is characters plus conflict. Therefore, when we are constructing our stories to make a point, tell a story, we must make sure that there is conflict in the story. If there's no conflict, there's no story. Where's my character? The character, of course, one of those characters is going to be us. In Lyndon's speech, his CC1, by the way, or CC2, was it? Whatever it was fantastic. The other day, he talks about drugs, and he talks about all the conflict, and those conflicting emotions that went through his mind as he was taking these drugs. Do you remember the other youngster, whose name I can't remember, much to my annoyance and chagrin?
Yep.
Who told us, Liam, thank you very much. Liam, who said golf is not a sport. Conflict immediately there, right? Golf is not a sport. And then he proceeded to tell us how golf is not a sport. But there's this tension between the people who believe golf is a sport and who believe that golf is not a sport. What have you got from this so far, anybody? What's been interesting or useful?
Another question. If you're using Liam's speech as an example of what you're saying, because he had conflict in it, but he never really told what we would traditionally think of as a story.
No, he didn't.
Are you saying we should tell a conflict and then make a point?
Please do, Lyndon. If you do that, you'll be more inspirational.
But so it's not really a story, it's a conflict we need to put out.
Correct. Think about Ian's speech, okay? Ian gave that contest speech, and he talked about mistakes. He said screw-ups, right? You can screw sideways, you can screw left, you can screw right, you can screw down, and of course, you can screw up. And then he talked about screw-ups, right? He talked about the captain whose name I can't remember. What was his name?
Walker.
Walker, Captain Walker, who launched by mistake a torpedo at his boss's ship. He says there's always a time when you've committed a screw up, but nobody quite knows about it yet. It's a lonely time. And then Captain Walker got on the blower and said, listen, you better get out of the way, there's a torpedo coming. So there's conflict there, right? What was different was he's telling Captain Walker's story rather than Ian's story.
I suppose, Eric, what I'm asking just for clarity's sake
Thank you so much.
is
If you could clear it up for me.
Ian didn't tell what I would call a story. He started off by saying golf's not a sport, and then wrapped off a whole bunch of reasons why that might be the case.
Let me ask you a question. Do you find Liam's story or Liam's speech inspirational? Right, I'll take that as a no.
No, but my question is, so you're not actually talking about that, you're talking about a story.
No, I'm talking about both. I'm saying, was Liam's speech inspirational? No, it wasn't. It wasn't inspirational. Did he tell a story as we would think of a story? No. Was there conflict? Not really. Therefore, I've seen you a bit. What have I got? I've got no story, no personal conflict, and therefore no inspiration. And what are we trying to do here as speakers? Because what is the medium of speaking for? It's to inspire people. Yvette.
You've answered my question.
I beg your humble pardon. What was your question?
Is it always to inspire people?
What?
Story always meant to inspire. That was my
I would aim at that. I would aim at that. JP, if I may, you stood here and you gave a little speech. What was your intention?
To inspire.
To inspire. Otherwise, I may as well just give handouts. Now, you'll notice the handouts I gave were blank. You notice that, right? Because I'm going to ask you to inspire yourselves in order to inspire us. Because the secret to inspiration is, as the fellow said, whose name I can never remember, tell a story. Make a point. Now, yes, Esther.
If we are primarily speaking to inspire in a work situation, in a business situation, what I'm taking out of this is that what you're usually doing then, when you speak at work, is in one way or another you're trying to sell a product, or you're trying to sell something. And so you're also aiming to inspire, because you're aiming to people to buy your idea, to buy.
What line of business are you in?
Publishing.
What book publishing, right?
Yeah.
Give me an example of a 1-minute speech that you might give at a meeting.
Well, when I have to pitch a new book, that's particularly what I'm doing.
So you're in sales, you've got exclusive books, you want to pitch a new book.
No, I mean, I'm not in sales, but
You're an
I'm
editor.
pitching within the company to say we should really publish this book.
All right. Now, I read this thing somewhere. I wish I could remember where. And it said human beings, we've got a lizard brain, and then we've got a primate brain. So actually what we are is we are a monkey riding a lizard. But what's interesting about that is that it's our emotional brain, it's our lizard brain, it's the fight or flight brain that mobilizes us. Every decision we make in life is an emotional decision. It doesn't matter what. Sometimes I say the following, I say, whenever you buy something, Esther, what are you actually buying?
Feeling.
You're buying a feeling, correct? What is the feeling that you're buying? Absolutely right. What else? What is the feeling you're buying when you buy something?
Feel good.
To feel good, absolutely, sir. To feel good, what's the feeling you're buying? The hope of a better future. When I go to a coffee shop and I buy a cappuccino, what am I buying? I'm buying the hope of a better future. That's what I'm buying. They are selling me a cup of coffee, but what am I buying? You are selling them a book title. What are they buying? They're buying the hope of a better future for your business. Does that make sense? Is what I've said does what I've said make any sense at all, or am I just rabbiting on? Hello. Goodbye. Does it make any sense at all? Vaughan? Do you know the voice of ascension?
It does, but you speak
There's
for
other reasons. Do I?
speak simply to share information.
What?
I might speak to discourage, and if I want to discourage, I certainly want to inspire.
Aha, but am I inspiring them to take an alternative course of action?
No, I didn't say that. I was maybe discouraging you from only one point of action. I don't necessarily want you to take a third.
But I'm still having to. It's the opposite kind of discouragement. It's a very, very excellent
You can
point.
swing it any way we want, but I'm just saying we speak for a whole lot of reasons.
Yeah. No,
I
look.
might want to share concerns.
No, sure. So you're absolutely right. In Toastmasters we say, what is it? Persuade, inform, entertain, inspire. Those are the four general purposes that we learn about in Toastmasters. Make sense? We're going to persuade, for or against.
Well, to me, inspiration and persuasion kind of they're almost intermingled to me. It seems to be because I substitute one for the other, and that's just the way it feels to me.
Vaughan's point might say, I'm going to persuade you against the course of action, whereas you might say, I'm going to inspire you to live up to your highest self. So inspiration there would not be the same as persuasion against something else.
True. Yeah.
All right, let's just say it's informed by
Frame of mind, actually.
Say again?
To be subject to your frame of mind, or course of action.
Potentially. So you're right. Partly what I'm trying to do is inform sometimes. I think that information can be given out in a pamphlet or a book, or an email, or a poster. I think that entertainment can be done in person, absolutely. I think that the human voice, or the human presence is very, very good at entertainment. I think we're very, very good at inspiration. So what was my point? My point was, what is the speaker's role as a medium? What do we do best? And I think that's inspiration. And I think Esther's point is very good, because it says, I'm going to inspire somebody to buy something. Now that's not the same as selling something. They sold me an espresso this morning. What did I buy? I bought 15 minutes. Because I was 15 minutes early for my appointment. I wanted a better future. I bought an espresso. They sold me an espresso, but I bought the hope of a better future. It was delicious. It's just delicious. So, I think you can't inspire without entertaining, personally. And what is entertainment? Entertainment is character plus conflict, because that's what a story is. So I'm going to say this to you, Vaughan. Do you want your message to stick? Your information. Do you want your information to be memorable? Your information. Because if it's information that you want to be remembered, it has to touch the emotions. Because if it doesn't touch the emotions, it's forgettable. It's completely forgettable. I can stand here and give you a whole raft of statistics, and none of them will make any impact on you at all, because they don't touch your emotions. And that's what speaking is good at.
Erich, it could touch your emotions, not the other way as well. It could, instead of inspiring you, it could offend you, or it could do the opposite, but it touches your emotions.
Absolutely.
Would that be considered a good speech?
Well, it would depend on your purpose, right?
The other way.
It would depend on your purpose. But can you see what you're saying? You agree with my premise. You're saying speaking is good at this.
Yes.
Speaking is good at this.
Yeah.
All right, so now what the hell has this got to do with writing your next speech? Anybody? I mean, you know, the Toastmaster says, I'm going to give you some information about writing your next speech, and then all I have to rabbit on about is some highly philosophical thing about the purpose of speaking. Vaughan.
I would say you just got to say, what am I trying to achieve?
What am I trying to achieve? All right, so now there are lots of achievements, but still, you can say, what am I trying to achieve? You know, are you a Toastmaster? Not yet, eh? No, not yet. So we have to get to a thing called a CC. It's a competent communicator. This will be changing in the next 2 years, but for now, we need to get through this thing, and there are 10 speeches in it. So what we're trying to do is get through the damn speeches. And one of the things we have to do is try to pick a damn topic. So this is hard. Here, I'm going to give you some recipes. I want you to pair up with a buddy. So just pair up with, you said you're leaving early, JP?
Yeah, I'm fascinated.
Oh,
so I'm going to
excellent,
India.
very good. So pair up with one other person, please. So in pairs, perhaps Tim and Esther and JP can work in threes, because you are in threes, and then everybody can work in pairs. Good. Now, what did you learn from your parents? What did you learn from your parents or from your past about success? About failure? So I'm going to ask you to do a mind map on your blank sheets of paper. If you like, I have some more, and I have some pens also if you don't have a pen. Right. Have you read a book recently or in the past which has really touched you? And can you tell me the title of that book? And what is it that touched you about? What irritates you or annoys you immensely? If you were king of the world, what would be the first thing that you did? If I was king of the world, what would be the first law that I enacted? Or queen, by the way. King, monarch of the world. I beg your pardon. That doesn't mean to be sexist, because I often say if I was king of the world, so that's where that phrase comes from. If you were monarch of the world, if you were the supreme ruler of the world, what would you do? You know, I would ban driving on the right-hand side. Sorry, America. You got it wrong. Tell me something about your interests. So, I have had an abiding interest in languages for my entire life. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I've actually given that speech here. I ran over time, I think. My very good told me to do it again. So, I have an abiding interest in languages. I speak 8 of them. What are your interests? What is it that floats your boat? What is it that lights your wick? What is it that lifts your luggage? Good. So, pick one person to be A and the other person to be B, and come up with these 5 or 6 things. Off you go. I'm giving you 2 minutes. Go.